Welcome to the Rubio Method. Venture into the unfiltered world of Chris Rubio. The Rubio Method delivers an unapologetically edgy take on the often overlooked world of men's mental health. Rubio, a master communicator, wields a potent knack for no BS enlightenment. Step into this no-nonsense arena, where men are challenged to evolve and confront the man staring back at them from the mirror.
Focus up. I'm talking to you. The lady that sat next to me on a plane yesterday and took out a Ziploc bag of walnuts. Who the hell chooses walnuts as the nut of choice besides, yes, Jenna? For some reason, she thinks they taste fantastic. They are absolutely disgusting looking and disgusting tasting. On that note, welcome to the Rubio Method. My name is Chris Rubio. This is episode 94. We are live right now on X, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We will be on, I think we're Rumble as well. We'll be on iTunes and Spotify within 24 hours, usually about 7 a.m. tomorrow. We've got a phenomenal show. I've got two tremendous guests. I've got the businessman himself, Bill Geiser, and I've got basically like a daughter of mine named Samantha. She's going to talk about what's going on with the new generation. But let's talk about the categories. All right. Number one, everything happens for a reason. We're going to talk about Doge and how they want some emails and people are losing their mind over it. I just don't get it. Then we're going to jump over to there are winners and losers in life. We're going to talk about someone from MSNBC finally getting fired. We're going to talk about why they got fired. Then we're going to jump over to Accept and Embrace, and we're going to talk about the FBI's new heads, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. These are two public figures that a lot of people may not like, and we'll see why. And then we're going to go to commercial. Then we're going to come back with Working Hard is Not Enough. I'm going to talk about what the hell is Maine and Wisconsin doing right now. When I bring up some things about what's happening there, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? And the last one, confidence is the key. We're going to talk about getting to the point of not caring. Not to the point of caring, getting to the point of not caring. I talk about it a lot. We're going to have a great show. Jenna's fired up in the back. Jenna, let's get moving right away. Everything happens for a reason. All right, let's bring out Bill Geiser because I want to jump right into this. I have my go-to Jew, Jeff Abraham. I got my go-to Canadians with Sheldon and Randy Chevrier. Yes, I know I still owe them poutine. Bill Geiser, thank you very much for coming on. How are you doing in the free state of Florida?
I'm doing great. And by the way, I'm a macadamia nut guy.
Oh, macadamia nut's phenomenal. Good looking nut, very tasty. You always think about the great state of Hawaii. Now that's a nut. A walnut's disgusting. It looks like a damn barnacle and a callus.
I won't go that far, but not my favorite.
They're terrible. She brought out a whole Ziploc bag, and this lady travels a lot because she had a bag, but then she had bags within bags, and I know you travel a lot too. She took out like this pill bag, and she must have had 30 prescriptions. She looked like Cheech and Chong from the 70s. She had so many pills in there. And then when she brought out the walnuts, I looked, and I got stuck in the middle seat because they didn't bump me up, and so I was just a nightmare. But I did the fat guy move. As soon as I sat down, I took over both armrests, and I never relinquished. I was uncomfortable the whole time, but I did what I did. All right. So Bill Geiser, everything happens for a reason. So Elon and Doge, for those that don't know, Doge is the Department of Government Efficiency. Elon has been brought on by El Trumpo to basically say, hey, we got to fix the waste. Doge is brought on. I think it's now up to 80 super nerds. They started with, what was it, like 6 or 8, and they're just these big, super autistic nerds. They admit it, and they're just computer generated, or not generated, but they're just going in doing these algorithms, finding all this wasted money, and they are going wild, finding where we're spending. I mean, the first one was USAID, where they notice, oh my gosh, we're spending X amount of money for transgender chameleon studies in the Brazilian rainforest, and it turns out that the money's really not going there. And there's no receipt for it, blah, blah, blah. So this weekend, El Trumpo's told Elon, you know what, let's ramp it up a little, bud. Let's be a little bit more aggressive. Elon said, let it rain, let's go. And he basically sent out an email to, I think it's 3 million federal employees. I'm not sure on that, Jenna, you might want to fact check me on that one, where it just basically said, hey, this is from Doge. You have 48 hours to respond. Give us 5 bullet points, not paragraphs, bullet points of things that you've done this week. We just want to know what you've done this week. If you do not respond within 48 hours, okay, you're fired. And remember, they've already given these people, if they didn't want to come into the office, remember, that was one of the things they said, hey, come on in. If you don't want to come in, we'll give you 8 months severance, which seems like, Jesus, that's a lot. Okay, now, Bill Geiser, you worked in the private sector for quite some time. Is this acting or asking a lot to give someone 48 hours to come up with 5 bullet points of what you've done?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a pretty simple question, and it's an important question. I mean, I think, honestly, I think it was a genius move to go do it, because it's going to smoke out those people who really aren't doing anything. That's number one. So they're going to be, if you think about it, the growth of jobs in America over the last 3 or 4 years was almost 100% driven by federal government growth. The Biden administration hired a lot of people. Looked to me like it was sort of cooking the books to make it look like the economy is growing and we're adding jobs, but they were government jobs. Now the question is, are these people really doing work for us? It's a legitimate question to ask. What I find surprising is the negative reaction to it. And I actually think it's a PR nightmare for the bureaucracy. I mean, because normal Americans who have work in the private sector are asked to answer that question every single week or something similar to it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that these people are, shedding tears over this cruel question is almost mystifying. I mean, if you think about it, they're well paid. The government workers have competitive salaries. There's no accountability, apparently. There's no oversight. At the end of their career, they get a huge pension, mm-hmm. and they're bitching because somebody is finally asking them a simple question like, tell me what you did this week. I don't think the fact that they're not responding enthusiastically to it is a huge mistake. That's why the Doge program is so popular.
Oh, 100%. And I like the fact that Elon even is mocking them / trying to help them / mocking them again, where he even put out, for those that don't know, Elon owns X, which X was formerly Twitter, and they came out with a new app that is integrated within X, which is also a standalone. We just talked about it with Jen. It's called Grok, G-R-O-K. If you have not downloaded it, I highly recommend it. And it's basically AI. It's not basically, it is. And you can program it to do whatever you want. And he even put out a post that said, hey, Grok, I'm a federal employee. Give me 5 bullet points of what I did. And literally he's showing them how to cheat. But they're just so much filled with EDS, Elon, the derangement syndrome, they won't even do that.
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, I can tell you what I would do and what I have done when that question comes up. I'd open the email, and usually what I do is when I open an email, I jump on it right there, put it to bed, and then move on. I would have opened that email, I would sat down, I would have answered with 5 bullets that make me look like I'm a superstar.
Yeah.
I would have hit the send key, and then I would have done the next thing in my task list. And I never thought about it.
Well, and that's the press secretary went on today because the press was still hounding her about it. And she goes, guys, I got the same email. It took me 90 seconds to answer it. I met with ABC. I talked to Russia. I did this. Jenna, do you have that press secretary video, the one where she's wearing a red dress?
Back and talk about this idea. The president sent out a truth last weekend to Elon Musk saying he loves everything Elon is doing and he wants him to be even more aggressive because Doge thus far has proven incredibly successful in making our government more efficient. And so Elon and Doge came up with this idea. Elon has implemented this at his private companies. It has proven successful. And it's a very simple idea when you think about it. All the Office of Personnel Management is asking, all this administration is asking, President Trump is asking, is for federal workers who live off of the American taxpayer's dime to send 5 bullet points of what they have done in the previous week. That is all we are asking for. And so the Office of Personnel and Management sent out additional guidance last night. Those responses should be directed to agency leadership, and the president defers to his cabinet secretaries, who he's obviously entrusted to pursue the guidance relative to their specific workforce. And for some of the agencies that you've seen who have said, please don't send these emails, it's in their best interest for that specific agency, and the president supports that. And let me be very clear, the president and Elon is his entire cabinet are working as one unified team.
So that second to last thing she said, and this came out, where not everyone has to answer. So if you're like a super secret James Bond spy, you don't have to say, hey, I'm tracking down the Taliban in Serbia. You've got exemptions for those type of guys and girls, and that's fine. But she also said Elon has done this in the past. When he bought Twitter and renamed it X, do you know how many people he fired? What percentage, Bill Geiser?
75.
Yeah, I think it was 75, 80%. He even to the CEO, I can't remember what the guy's name was, he said, here, give me 5 things that you've done this week. And the guy was a pompous ass and wouldn't respond. He fired him. And so now they're running on 20% of whatever Twitter had before. And it's run smoother than it is. You and I are on it all damn day. And it's run smoother and more efficiently. And he basically burnt 80% of the salaries. So this guy knows what he's doing, Bill Geiser?
Yeah, I think Elon Musk is a tremendous businessman, particularly when it comes to his execution skills. Mm-hmm. Now, what drives people nuts about Elon is something he shares with Trump, is that his style bugs people. You know, he came out over the weekend at some conference with the chainsaw. Now that's pretty extreme. I'll even admit that. But to me, that's a style. It's not a substance issue. When it comes down to really sort of like using football, the X's and the O's, this guy is without peer. This guy is really, really an unusually talented human being when it comes down to execution. And right now we have a government that is fat. It's out of shape. And this is no different in the public sector or the private sector. When a company acquires another company, let's say a private equity company acquires something, and it's been hemorrhaging money, the first thing they do is they cut deep. They cut deep and they cut fast because they don't want to do repeated cuts over time. That defeats morale. It just doesn't work. So they're doing the right thing, in my opinion. Maybe they're even moving too slow. I just as soon see them cut a bunch. If they cut too much, they'll realize it. They'll hire those guys back. But this reaction to the email is not doing the federal government workers any favor.
No. So Bill Geiser, what do you think about this? What's your reaction to people like this? Jenna, do you have the email video? Tell me what your reaction to this is.
Others in the press were equally outraged. Elon Musk has zero legal authority to fire government employees or force their resignations. These people don't report to Elon Musk.
This nonsensical email from Elon Musk acting like we're in kindergarten.
It's like an own the libs, make you cry more sort of environment, right? Where both Trump and Musk are performing for the MAGA base.
The new Trump administration is reveling in its bare knuckle approach to governing.
This is so sloppy with the way Elon Musk is handling this.
So what number one, what is wrong with it? And number two, how is it sloppy? How could you make it?
So the bureaucracy is always going to push back when cuts are happening. I thought it was really interesting, though, that you opened it up with Jen Psaki. Do you recall her comment when Biden signed the EO on his first day in office against the Keystone Pipeline and all the fossil fuel banning initiatives that cost 12,000 people their jobs? She basically said they can go sell solar. So much. There's a lot of green jobs out there, and Biden's thing was learn to code. So maybe that's good advice for our recently laid off FedGov workers.
I
solar sales job open, and there are a lot of opportunities to learn to code.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, I could give you 5 bullet points by 8 in the morning of what things that I've done. You know, even if it's like basic stuff, it's one of those things. I answered some emails. I
something real basic too here, which is how hard do you work? How hard do I work for my money? I mean, I work my ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And I pay a lot in taxes. I want to see some earnest attempt to optimize the spend of those dollars. And when they resist simple questions on this, it makes me wonder, maybe they're not good stewards of our tax dollars. It raises a lot more questions than I had before this. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think this is a public relation nightmare, the way they've reacted to it.
Well, yeah, and it just makes everyone look so guilty if, like, you know, you're a cop and you have a warrant and I'm going to Bill Geiser's house and I say, okay, let me in. I need to see your basement. You're like, well, you could come in, but just don't go to the basement. You can go anywhere, but you can go to the basement. I'm like, Bill, I need to go to the basement. You're like, you can't go. You can go anywhere. Go to the pantry. Go to the laundry room. Just don't go to the basement. Immediately, as a cop, I'm going to say, I got to go to the basement. Like, you can't ask me what I'm doing for work. No, stop asking. Well, then you're not doing anything. I mean, this is obvious. So let's move on. Speaking of bringing a hammer down, accept and embrace. We've got 2 new heads of the FBI. We've got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Dan is the deputy director of the FBI, and Kash Patel is the new head of the FBI. All right, so for those that don't know, these are 2 public figures. They're both outspoken. I'm going to give you a quick little bio on both because a lot of people say, oh, they're not qualified, blah, blah, blah. Kash Patel, born in 1980. Is an American lawyer and former federal prosecutor serving as the 9th director of the FBI and the acting director of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, ATF. He's a member of the Republican Party. He previously served as a National Security Council official, chief of staff to the acting Secretary of Defense, and senior advisor to the acting director of national intelligence during Donald Trump's first presidency. Okay, so he's got the qualifications. Now, I'm going to show you a video of him. Give me the first solo video of him, Jenna, where he's talking about the FBI building. This is what people are going to get rubbed the wrong way. So go ahead, Jenna, and then we'll have Bill Geiser respond.
Footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day 1 and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
Okay, now, Bill Geiser, let me state the obvious. For those that are listening on iTunes and Spotify, he's brown. Okay, Kash Patel is not exactly an Anglo name. So let me play their game. Does race not matter anymore? Because shouldn't we be pumping him up as like the first? I guess he's Indian.
He's Indian, yeah.
Okay. So
and also, his first government job, he was appointed by Obama.
Oh, so we're just going to forget that?
Well, yeah, I think obviously he said some things in the past which are of concern to people in the bureaucracy, and I think he's right, though. I mean, listen, the FBI is our top cops. That's what their job is. I have no problem with him saying, let's move cops to where the crime is being committed. If there's not a lot of crime being committed in the J. Hoover building in Washington, D.C., then let's put those guys where they belong.
I agree.
I think it sounds like a very wise management decision.
I couldn't agree more. But then you've got some people are adamant. They had this big, when he was getting basically voted in, they had this huge counter against him in front of the FBI building of, I think it was 5 Democrats that were trying to say, oh, he's bad. It was really sad. I mean, you've seen more at a Girl Scout cookie convention in front of my local grocery store, which, as they should. But one of them is Adam Schiff. Now, Adam he's a known liar. He's the one that was on Russian collusion for El Trumpo, where he's got facts. It turns out he has no facts because he never brought them out. Jenna, do you have that combo video? Now, watch this one, Bill Geiser. This is a combo video with Schiff. Now, you're going to see why maybe Adam Schiff is not really happy with this one.
someone we cannot trust. This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that. Our Republican colleagues know that. The only qualification Kash Patel has to be FBI director is that when everyone else in the first Trump administration said, no, I won't do that, that crosses moral, ethical, and legal lines, Kash Patel said, sign me up. In the first Trump administration, as we are seeing in the second, you rise to the level of your sycophancy, and no one is a bigger or more dangerous sycophant than Kash Patel. This political hack does not deserve to be in this building. He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize it against the president's political opponents rather than protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years. And what broke that we're going to talk about right now is Adam Schiff met with a whistleblower. Adam Schiff went to the podium day after day after day saying, I know nothing about this. We're not going to discuss it. We're going to protect it. And then Adam Schiff, led the prosecution of the impeachment trial in the Senate of President Donald Trump. Talk about someone who was conflicted out of the game because he was part of the hoax that brought Charmella in, manufactured that false accusation, and then peddled it out to the world. And he continued, not surprising, he's lied about almost everything in his life. But now he lied just to set up a presidential impeachment. And that's what I was talking about, these disinformation campaigns. And then he should be investigated because he lied to the world about his interactions with Charmella, who was a whistleblower, and I can't stress it enough, that started a presidential impeachment. Now, your history is way better than mine, but I can't remember the last time a president was actually impeached. It's a significant process and escalation, and it's reserved for the time when...
Okay, so Bill Geiser, if you're Adam Schiff, are you maybe not sleeping well?
I think it really boils down to, well, let me take a step back. I think the previous 4 years compared to the next 4 years, to me, look like when it comes to the FBI, is that there is a clash of ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the past 4 years, we had, and along with the DOJ too, we had sort of this, I hate to say it, but it was like that they took good care of criminals.
Oh, yeah.
Just all these prosecutors who were, a criminal would get arrested and then they let him go, or they turn their backs on, shoplifting. You can steal up to $950 and we won't say anything about it. I mean, where did that come from? That to me was a ideology that was put in place and became very, very pervasive. Now, you've got President Trump that has said, I don't stand for this. And he's going to pick this guy. So Kash serves at the pleasure of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wants him to leave tomorrow, he leaves tomorrow. So this is his hand-picked guy, and he's picked him because he is going to implement a much tougher on crime ideology than what our previous 4 years are. And it's going to be interesting. As far as Adam Schiff is concerned, Adam doesn't have a thing to worry about if he's innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. If he's guilty, he's going to have a problem.
Oh, yeah. And it's the whole don't go into my basement thing. If there's nothing in your basement, you got nothing to worry about. Okay. Right. So the next guy, Dan Bongino, born in 1974, is an American conservative political commentator. That's where most people know him. He's a radio host, author, former law enforcement officer who will serve as the 20th director of the FBI. He currently hosts the Dan Bongino Show on Rumble. He previously hosted Unfiltered with Dan Bongino on Fox until April 2023. He began his career. That's where everyone's going to lean and say, oh, my God, he's just a podcast host, because he's one of the top three in the world.
He's a very successful one.
Yeah. He began his career as a New York City Police Department officer from 1995 to 1999 before serving as a U.S. Secret Service agent from 1999 to 2011. So this guy's qualified as well, but he's also a badass as well. Jenna, do you have the press secretary Bongino video? This is from just a couple hours ago.
talks about the past corruption at the FBI, when he talks about his experience serving for the United States Secret Service. This is a man who loves his country and who has honorably served our country in ways that many people have not. He understands the depth of the corruption at these institutions, which the American people reelected President Trump to shake up. And I think it's quite despicable to see many networks in this room who have had chyrons on their television screens labeling Mr. Bongino as a far-right podcaster. He is not. He is a former law enforcement agent. He is a former Secret Service agent who put his life on the line to protect this country, and that is why the President of the United States has entrusted him for this important role. He's also an outsider to this Washington swamp, and we often see that when outsiders are appointed to such coveted positions, a lot of people in this city get very, very nervous, and they should be, because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Attorney General Bondi are focused on rooting out the corruption at these agencies and ending the weaponization of government once and for all.
Number one, I love her. That's the new press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. She's 27 years old. She's phenomenal. Notice how she doesn't look down at a notebook. She's just an impressive human being. I highly recommend, if you haven't done it, go to YouTube, go to subscribe to the White House YouTube channel, and you could watch her news conferences daily if she does them. And it's unbelievable how just night and day different. But Bill Geiser, what do you think about El Trumpo bringing in quote unquote outsiders and how she said, oh, that's going to make people nervous?
I think it's great. In fact, I think it's almost brilliant, because right now we have I'd say all of Washington, and this has been built up over, I don't know when it began, but maybe at the beginning of the Obama administration, maybe before then, but we right now have a culture of unaccountability. The federal government just no longer appears to be accountable, and they don't want anybody, whether it's you, me, or the press, the president, or anybody else, asking, what'd you do today?
Yeah.
What are you doing with our money? So and we've got a new culture being attempted to put in, a culture of accountability. And this is where all the friction lies right now. And that's why it takes people on the outside, not these insiders, to do it. This is why if you see startups, whether, in the technology world, all these new startup companies that create these hugely disruptive companies that turn, existing industries over, they're not insiders to those industries. They're outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
They see things differently. They view the world differently. And we need some fresh thinking, because the way this thing has been, the government's been run over the past 10, 20 years, ain't working.
Well,
It isn't working at all.
You're a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. I always equate it to, I was just talking to someone this past weekend about it. It's almost like you have a football team and they've gone on a 30-year drought of winning. But the university, let's just say it's a college, just keeps hiring within the same coaching line. Like, let's move the defensive coordinator up. Let's move the linebackers coach up. And they just keep doing it for 30 years, and no one keeps winning, but no one cares because everyone keeps getting paid. And then finally, let's say a new athletic director comes in and says, okay, we've been going with Rubio's team the entire time. We're done with Rubio's method. Let's go get Bill Geiser. He's a swimmer. He doesn't know jack about football, but we got to try something new. Let's just try to, and you come in, you're looking at things from a completely different angle and saying, whoa, let's try this. And the new shoes may not fit perfectly at the start, but if you keep working, it's going to get there. I mean, we've all seen the movie Remember the Titans in every, classic sports movie. And so that's the way I look at it.
Well, this to me is what Trump is. He is a disruptor.
Oh, 100%.
And really, we have a common friend that likes to say both sides do it. I see things a little bit differently. I think there is some truth to this concept of a uniparty.
Mm-hmm.
There is a uniparty whose job is to perpetuate itself. They want to stay in office forever.
Yeah.
They want to do what they want to do. They really don't give a shit about what you want, what I want, what the president wants. They want somebody to kind of keep their mouth shut and go along. And
100%.
And when you're done, well, Trump came in as an outsider, and he has disrupted the apple cart. for all these things. He is reinventing how governments run. Part of it too is driven by technology. I mean, his command of social media and technology, bringing in a guy like Elon Musk. Elon Musk could not do what he's doing probably until the last few years. I mean, you're talking about sifting through and analyzing over 1.3 billion payment transactions very, very quickly. And so that's why he's brought in all his boy geniuses and the tools that they bring, that and lots of techniques. I shared some things with you earlier today, and that's exactly right. They are doing things in days, which previously would have taken years to do.
100%.
And I'm optimistic. I think we'll get out of this. I think it'll be a bumpy road over the next 4 years, but I think we'll end up in a much better place. I think there will be an elimination of fraud and a return back to some semblance of order.
I couldn't agree more. Bill Geiser, we got moving so fast. I skipped the whole category. Jesus, we got to go back. There are winners and losers. I got you for like 5 more minutes, Bill. Okay, there are winners and losers in life. Joy Reid. All right, if you do not know who Joy Reid is, she's on MSNBC. She has, I don't even know what her show's called, the Reid Hour or the Reid Show or something like that. Bottom line, she just got fired from MSNBC. She has a staff of 30. Okay, I have a staff of me. I send my stuff over to Jenna. Hopefully by noon of the day of the show. She likes it a little bit earlier sometimes. I'm usually too lazy to do it. And this whole show, don't get me wrong, it's not massively produced, obviously, but it's one. Joy Reid makes $3 million per year. Or no, excuse me. Yeah, $3 million per year. A staff of 30. Her ratings in the past couple of weeks have plummeted from the key demographic of 25 to 55, the age group, to 60,000 people. That is pathetic. You can go on podcasts where they get 900,000 to 1 million, I mean, easily per day. And that's why everyone is going towards podcasts, and the mainstream media is basically dying if it's not already dead. So why do people not like Joy Reid? What's happened over the past time? Well, I'm going to tell you. She's not either. She's extremely racist. That's number one. And she's either the dumbest human being on the planet or she's lying. That's my professional opinion on the subject after watching a lot about her. She follows in the line of Don Lemon, Brian Stelter, Jim Acosta. Now, here's the reason why. Jenna, the Joy Reid video, possibly why. This is like 3 minutes long. I'm not going to let the whole thing go, but you're going to see exactly some of the things. These are just some of the things she said over the past couple months.
The race lady. Why would they call me that? Is this really about me fixating on race, or is it about you fixating on race?
But Donald Trump wants to never let black and brown folk up off the mat. It's evident what they mean by DEI, right? Why not just say what you mean? You can't stand black people. We get it. You've been heard. Are you committed to naming a black woman as your vice presidential running mate? They wanted to go after the brown people too, because of course that is their other target.
You feel joy? Say joy.
It's not fashionable to be openly racist anymore in America, unlike what they call the good old days. Only the white Christian men may have the things. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and to your wives, sisters, and abuelas.
Joy.
If you are black plus anything else, you are black. Violent white nationalism that today threatens our national security.
Make a joyful noise.
Don't send any of those invites to any black women you know.
We do have a fascist groundswell in parts of this country, mainly among white men, let's be clear.
I mean, you're also a white guy. Are you saying the we is white folks need more kids?
Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears.
Only God can give that woman the kind of joy she had right there.
Similarities to what happened in Germany and what's happening now in America are just undeniable.
Donald Trump is acting like a Nazi, talking like a Nazi, and now posting like a Nazi.
Like Trump.
Okay, I can't. We've got another 3 minutes of her talking about how El Trumpo and Elon become Nazis, and that's pretty wild considering El Trumpo's, I think, his son-in-law or daughter-in-law, one of them's a Jew. So he's got to be the worst Nazi I've ever seen. Because maybe I don't understand. And today she posted a video, Jenna, but I don't want you to feel sorry for her because you watch how this video plays out. Jenna, you have the tears video.
There's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like green waterworks. White men can get away with that too, and it has the same effect.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV.
Bill, is mainstream media dead?
Well, no, it's not. I think it's sort of lost its way. I think in Joy Reid's case, I think it's really simple. I think she lost the plot, really. I mean, she's in business. Media is a business, and it's an advertising-based business. That's the model, which means you need viewers to attract advertisers. And the more viewers you have in certain age demographics, the more you can charge for your advertising. That's how MSNBC makes money. Well, they were losing their shirt on there, and I think it boils down to a very simple explanation. Joy Reid was selling herself as an activist.
Mm-hmm.
People don't watch her for that. They wanted to be entertained, and it stopped being entertaining. And once you stop being entertaining when you're on a mainstream media, your audience leaves you. So she was selling shit people didn't want to buy. I mean, if you just put it down that simple, she was selling this activism story, and people just got tired of it. It's like, we've heard it. Something new. I want to, at the end of the day, I think her show was at night. You've worked all day, you busted your ass, you come home. Geez, now I got to hear all this miserable whining shit. I want to be entertained. And she lost her market. It got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And finally, the parent company said, which I think is Comcast. I think
yes.
If you trace it up, they said, shit, we can't afford to keep subsidizing this. We're losing too much money. Our shareholders are unhappy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and she just wasn't a good product anymore. And, when you keep saying the race thing and the Hitler thing, it's like, okay, man, we've heard it for so long.
It worked for a while. Hey, it worked for a while. She had a big show, but like I said, over time, you gotta evolve. You gotta change with the times. And she just wasn't paying attention to her audience. It's like a restaurant that's serving stuff to their customers, and their customers are tired of it, or the quality is bad, and they stop going. They go somewhere where they can buy a meal that they really want to consume.
Bill Geiser, how far are you from Miami?
I'm probably a 5-hour drive.
Okay. Have you ever eaten at Prime 112 in Miami?
I have.
My God, is that one of the top 5 restaurants you've ever eaten at?
Well, it's really good. I think my favorite one down there, though, is Joe's Stone Crab.
Oh, I've not eaten there.
Oh, my God. It's been there for centuries. It's unbelievable.
It can't be better than Prime 112.
It's the best. I'd say Joe's Stone Crab is the best restaurant I've ever been in.
Well, officially got to go there. Bill Geiser, I appreciate your time. I'll see you on Decades in about 40 minutes, my man. Thank you once again.
I'll be there.
I'll see you in 40 minutes, Bill Geiser. Jenna, I'm out.
Hey, guys.
You have been watching The Rubio Method.
Let's get going, gang.
Our dedicated staff is ready to work for you. Artbeat specializes in custom apparel. Call us or order online. Free shipping nationwide. Custom printed shirts are our specialty, and we make sure you get exactly what you want. Bring in your own design or let our team create one for you. Promote your business, event, or club with pens, caps, bottles, mugs, and more.
Creating cool since 1985.
Take it away, Rubio.
Focus up. Jenna, you got me. Oh, there, I'm better. Okay. Welcome back to the Rubio Method. This is episode 94. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Rumble, Facebook. All those will be on iTunes and Spotify. Within about 24 hours. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always email rubio@therubiomethod.com. I want to thank everyone that's watching and commenting out there. Let's move on. I've got a great, I don't even know what I'd call her. All right. Bring out Samantha. This is Samantha Graves. Samantha to me is almost, I can see Zoe Baby.
Yeah, you can see my whole family's behind me, aren't they?
Okay, so Samantha is like I would say a daughter / little sister to me, but I've known her literally since she was born. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know how old you are. I think you're in your 30s, 20s.
I'm 37, Rubes.
37. Okay, well, Jesus, 37. That's a real adult.
Yeah, I'm like a full human now. Yeah.
Zoe Baby's in the back. Zoe Baby. Okay, so Samantha, you're my younger generation that I'm going to talk about, and I thought I'm going to start off with a little El Trumpo thing because you have done a great job of being able to handle me. Okay, Samantha worked for me for a while. She did a wonderful job, and she's put up with me throughout her entire life. And I'm probably the biggest ass she knows, on and off the field, business-wise. And she's always done just a great job of just, oh, Jesus. Okay, Rubio, here's what you need to know. Just shut up and do it and go that way. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Because it works for me. And I think you would be the perfect person to handle El Trumpo as well, just because he is such an ass at certain times. I mean, he gets things done, but he is a big ass, and he rubs people the wrong way all the time. And I've talked to people that dislike him or don't like what he stands for, blah, blah. And I say, why don't you? And they, well, I just don't like him. Okay, well, he gets shit done, but I get it. He's an ass. But same thing as people of me, like Jolie always says, my wife, she says, Rubio, you're an acquired taste. I mean, and how many times, Samantha, have you had to say, that's just Rubio. He just does what he does. Just roll your eyes and go with it. All right, so Sam, I'm going to play you a video, and then we're going to get to the Wisconsin talk. So there's a governor's conference at the White House. And, the big thing that had been going around, and one of the things he's standing on is chicks are chicks, dudes are dudes, chicks play chick sports, dudes play dude sports. And he's talking to all the governors in this big, I guess it's a conference room or ballroom or whatever the hell it is at the White House. So, Jenna, go ahead and play this video of El Trumpo talking.
A has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with the state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Okay, now, he's obviously talking to Maine governor saying, hey, and here's the best part. You know damn well El Trumpo knows that Maine is there. Number one, he knew exactly where she was sitting. Hey, so is Maine here? Is Maine here? Oh, my gosh, wow. Oh, Maine, there you are. So are you not going to go with this? Because she's already said that dudes, if they identify as a chick and they play the chick sports, okay, their high school pole vaulter just won, and he was like 77th last year, but he just won. And so he calls her out. Number one, did he do that on purpose just to be an ass?
Of course. I mean, hate him, love him, whatever. He's got huge balls. I mean, that's always been obvious. Like, audacity is sky's the limit, And so, yeah, of course, I do see a similarity, and not a direct similarity between the two of you, but just kind of knowing that there's a goal in mind, how we're going to get there, maybe not how I would get there or the most smooth way to get there, but he's on the right track. So yeah, he knew exactly where she was sitting. He was going to make a point, looked right at her, and yeah, I mean, same thing. He'll see you in court, and he probably will follow through with that.
100%. He already has.
He's got to always slip in the comment too. I did very well there, so don't worry about me. He always does just the little last little button to put.
But and that's my thing too. Did he? I think he was testing her. And then she tried to lob it back. And he's the kind of guy, you don't poke the bear. You just don't. He's on a roll. And now I think he would have let off if she would have yes, sir. Yes, Mr. President. But then she's like, I'll see you in court. And he's like, oh, man. I mean, I think you almost did as much of an eye roll as I did, because in your mind, you're like, well, honey, this is not a good route.
Yeah, that's not who you mess with. Just because he's gonna come back. He's not gonna let you have the last word. he's always going to push. Like I said, he doesn't care. So you don't want to mess with someone who's doesn't care, right? There's nothing to lose. He feels like he has nothing to lose. So those people are dangerous.
Well, yeah, he's got 3 years, 11 months left. He's not running for re-election. He can't. So he knows he's coming out swinging it and just going to do what he's going to do. And what are you going to do? You've tried to literally impeach him.
What do you do, fire me? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to literally assassinate the guy. And it's one of those like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right. So, Sam, you were born and raised in Idaho. You've moved around a couple places. Now you live in Wisconsin. Beer, brats, good people, cold. Okay. Are you clutching because you're having a heart attack because of the beer and the brats?
My heart, the cheese.
So I keep sending you stuff because I'm like, what's going on? And now that you're a mother / inseminated person, I like to send you things because I see them all the day on social media, and I go, what's happening? Like some of it is so odd to me that I can't even understand it. So Jenna, can you pull up this pic? And I'm going to read what's going on. Basically, before you do that, Jenna, the Wisconsin Democratic Governor, Tony Evers, this dude, introduced a proposal to change gender-specific terms like mother. So he wants you not be able to say mother in Wisconsin law. He included this recommendation in his budget for 2025 through 2027. It's not just mother. I'm going to read them all off for people that are on iTunes and Spotify. Go ahead, Jenna, put that picture up for me, please. So it says Wisconsin budget recommendation 2025 through 2027. Word previously used, wife or husband, no longer can say that. You got to change it to spouse. Word previously used, mother. Instead of saying that, you need to say inseminated person. Word previously used, paternity, now changed to patronage. I don't understand that one. Word previously used, father. Now you're changed to natural parent. Okay. And the last one, word previously used, you can't use man or woman. You have to use person. All right. So, Sam, you're of the younger generation. They're trying to aim this towards you guys because you guys are coming out of college, blah, blah, blah. Is this working on your generation, or are you guys tired of it at the point where you're like, this is stupid?
Yeah, I feel like I'm maybe moving towards that older generation, just like anyone else. You know, you've got your head down, you're doing school, you're starting your career, and then, you know, you switch, you become a parent, you get married. Now this impacts you directly. And I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. And so it's very fresh in my mind, the whole idea of, you know, becoming a mother and that whole experience. And I've only had this experience in Wisconsin, but I've noticed a lot of the language in documents I've gotten from my doctor's office, not directly speaking, they haven't changed it, but it says, you know, chest feeding instead of breastfeeding. So some of this language is really, it almost is like offensive to me because you know, yeah, I mean, it's offensive to think that someone would think that they could just do what I just did, right? I just created a whole person. I just gave birth to a person. I am keeping a person alive with my body. It's not for the weak. And so just to kind of take that away from me seems like that should be wrong, right? Like women are women, men are men. And I mean, there's a whole nother rabbit hole you can go down there, but I think a lot of the terms in this specific budget that they've done, they mean it to imply more for like legal things that happen, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to get a baby, right? Not just the good old-fashioned thing. So a lot of this, I think their intention, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt most times. I think their intention was, we need to make this language really clear, because if someone's going through IVF, if someone's a surrogate, if someone is maybe adopting just an embryo, there's so many things out there that exist. We want to make it really clear. So if there's any legal action that needs to be made, it's very specific, but it's starting to blur lines of, you know, just going to a doctor's office and now, is that what I'm referred to as an inseminated person instead of someone's mother? Or, you know, now I'm just someone who chest feeds. I don't breastfeed. It's just a really, it's taking a lot away. And I'm like offended by it. And I never thought that I would be.
Well, you shouldn't be offended. I've got a chest and you can't get milk out of my teats. I mean, it's one of those things that it's just stupid. And then, so the inseminated person, so if you adopt someone, you didn't get inseminated, but then you can't be a mom? Like, if you
I think I'm thinking that it's mostly for IVF. I've even just in circles since becoming a mother, you know, kind of meeting people, and they've got a baby and you find out, oh, okay, well, they used a surrogate, or they used someone else's egg and then their husband's sperm, and they carried the baby. So it's almost like they're their own surrogate because the baby's not biologically theirs. And so God forbid something went wrong at your clinic and maybe they inseminated the wrong person. I really hope that this is just going to be legal terms and they're not expecting this to be like out on the street, because I don't think, the under 40 crowd, I'm certainly not going to start calling my husband natural parent, and call each other people.
Yeah, natural parent. Hey, here, parent.
Yeah, even the term, husband, wife, now we have to almost be ashamed. I recently married, only like 3-4 years. I'm excited to say my husband, and I think he's excited to say my wife. It's still new and fresh and fun for us. And so to feel like you're going to offend someone else just by being proud of who you are, it's kind of like the opposite effect, and I mean, I think people in my generation kind of interchange where you say, oh, like my partner or my spouse, my husband. It is becoming this thing where there's a shift because husband and wife seems to offend.
Well, if it well, you know me.
Under 25, I would say under 30, under 25.
If someone's offended by me saying my wife, I'm going to say it twice as loud.
Yeah,
just 100%.
And that's you being you for sure. But.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I mean, even in rural Idaho where I live, I remember I went into the doctor for my physical or whatever, and then it was like 2 or 3 years ago or whatever when the first sheets started filling out, and when they had like, what do you identify as? And I out loud yelled, I go, is this a joke? And they're like, Rubio, calm down. And I go, no, seriously, what do you mean? Because I didn't even understand it. I go, what do you mean? What do I identify as? And I go, Rubio. And so I just wrote Rubio. I go, I identify as Rubio. I don't know. What are you asking me? And they're like, oh, you can put Rubio. I go, well, that's what I'm putting because I don't get it. And like you said, though, I feel like it is a slap in the face. Like I've raised 3 boys. I get it. The moms that's a separate breed, man. Like I've always said before, I've told everyone that watches, if dudes had to have kids, there'd be like 4 kids on the planet and the rest would be dogs. Because I've seen, like James Taylor, I've seen fire and I've seen rain, and I've seen the kid here and then I've seen the kid out within, a minute. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not doing that. And dudes just aren't built for that. I don't care how great a dad you are, father you are. The midnight to 2 a.m., the 6 a.m., the coddling, oh, you're fine, blah, blah, blah. You've seen the way I raise a kid. It's like, you're fine, get out there, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's okay to have differences, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And I think I have a great example that I always think of when people are offended by things like this. I have a friend, and her name is Kayana, right? Kind of a different name. Her whole life, she's had to explain to people. They read it, and they go, Kiana, Kayana, they don't know how to say it, and she always has to correct them. Every single person. I've watched my whole life. She just visited me a week ago. It's Kayana, Diana with a K. And then people, or like cayenne pepper. She has to, every single time, she has to let people know. And so I'm like, if you're offended by something, just let someone know, and then they won't do it again. So if you're like, actually, you know what? I'd like to be called spouse. Or you know what? Actually, I go by she or whatever. Okay, let's have that conversation. We don't have to be up in arms. And now it's okay. Now I know. Now I know how you want to be called, how you want to be treated, whatever. And in the whole hospital medical setting, it's already it can be so scary and intimidating and all of these things. And to come through it on the other end and then be like, well, that experience didn't mean as much because anybody can do what you just did. And we're going to call everyone equal. No. And instead, like I said, I feel offended. I want to come out on the other side and say, no, you can't do what I just did.
No.
And let us have like a little moment of being that person. I'm pro-family. I want people to have families. I know there's a lot of different ways to have families, but I think you got to give credit where credit's due. And it's okay to not be able to do everything, right? No one gets to do everything. We don't all get to be invited to the birthday parties, okay? So I don't know. I'm hoping all this language suggested in the budget is just for legal matters or, clinical terms and things like that. I hope I don't go to have another baby and they're like, mark your name down and I'm just an inseminated person.
No.
And, chest feeder or, it gets to a point where we're going to push back. I think there's enough people that feel.
I think, and Jenna's right now, she's right, communication. I think that's number one, 100% true. And number two, I think your generation and even the younger, like Cruz and Ritz, I think it's flipping. It's like the younger 20s, mid 20s. I think they've put up with enough so much. They're like, yeah, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. We're not doing this chest feeder. We're not doing, what the hell is it, inseminated person. That's a pregnant lady. Like, oh, I'm not playing this game. Yeah, you could have an imaginary friend that you're talking to. Doesn't mean that I have to have a conversation with them. And I think it's flipping. I think it's going to get way worse for one side now because they've been pushed enough, and they're like you, and you're a nice person at this point. You've always been nice, but I'm saying it's like you're like, I'm hoping. And I think the younger, the 28s and younger are like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm right in the middle, kind of. I'm on that millennial, whatever. And so obviously the generation above, very old school, very black and white. I think right below me and part of my generation was on board to a certain point, and now it's time to reel it in. And kind of going back to what Bill was saying, just where's the accountability? Like, all the horses are loose now. Let's try and rein it in. We want to be respectful. We want people to be seen, feel heard, all of that. And I know that's more my generation than yours. No. But in a way that's going to make sense economically for our future. You know, I have small children here in Wisconsin, and they're going to go to school one day, and there are policies and things happening that I don't agree with, that I never had to think of. I never thought I'd be raising babies in Wisconsin. I'm from Idaho. And, yeah, it's really starting to impact my day to day. And so I think as that happens to my generation, because we have kids and it starts to impact us, we're going to start raising our hand, like you said.
Well, you have to, because
we'll move, or we'll start hopefully enacting change.
Well, and you're not around, you're around football people. So you understand that we're like, okay, all of a sudden your husband, someone his size, wants to become a women's basketball player in high school. The dude is 6'4", 320 clicks. Like that's just
be the ugliest woman alive. I can't even.
I've always thought I'd be an ugly woman, but he might be uglier than I am. And he's a good looking man, but still he's just too big.
I think that's the point, right? Like you're a good looking man. That's hopefully you can't do both. You don't want to do both. But again, like I said, times are changing, things are shifting, and we have an administration now that is trying to kind of rein it in. And there are a lot of things as I get older that I can start to agree with and identify with that I just simply didn't pay attention to before because they didn't impact me. You know, I was younger, and now that I have a family, you really start paying attention. And then you sending me these things all the time. It's pretty crazy. And to grow up in a rural place where you knew everyone's, parents' birthday, everything, change happens really slow. And now I'm in a city, and we have a fast moving government now. Things are really changing every day. There's like 10 things new that you're trying to pay attention to and keep up with. And a lot of them are happening right here in like the Madison area.
Oh yeah. So Sabota says, Sam.
Oh, hey Tom.
Okay, Sam, we're going to go to the last basically category. Confidence is the key. One of the best parts about you, Sam, is you're very, very confident. You've always been confident. How are you so confident? How have you done it throughout your entire life? Because ever since I've known you since birth, you've always been somewhat of just a very confident person. Do you think it's because you were just raised like the way you were, or just people around you beat the shit out of you, or what?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a projection of confidence, which is great. And again, the older you get, right, the less you care. Yeah. So I'm more confident. And then when you get to achieve things, right, you graduate. Now I've given birth, so I feel like you can't touch me, like that sort of thing. Yeah. So I feel like on top of that, but I think it's the people who surround you. So even though I had people I was raised by a single mom, but I had your wife's family, like kind of half raised me, basically. They were my other family. I think it was just, the tagline is like, we kid because we care. So tons of joking, tons of getting made fun of. I'm the youngest on both sides of my family, but slowly people are shaping you. And so I think that's important to if your friends aren't talking to you, if your family's not messing with you, then that's when something's wrong, like when it's quiet. And so, I think I just had great people. I had great teachers, and always in athletics.
Yeah.
And I always felt like people had my back. And I think that's how you are confident, because if you fall. Okay.
Jenna just wrote in, Samantha, how do you be confident without being considered a bitch?
Ooh, I might be like a secret bitch, Jenna. I'm sorry. I'm not I'm not. I don't waste my time. So where other people get really into it, like Trump and the Maine governor, right? So he's going to keep going at her, and she's going to keep going at him, and they're going to waste their breath. I would much rather just go do something else with my time. I know I'm not going to change your mind. I know whatever I'm saying is not going to impact the rest of your day. Probably I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but I'll remember that you're an ass, and I'll either, take my business elsewhere or not recommend people date you or not hang around you. But I think it's more like kind of behind your back, like, God, that guy's an asshole. But I don't have the time to tell you. I got babies to raise.
Yeah, you said what I always say is, because people will say like, oh my God, you're so rude to Samantha, blah, blah. And I go, if I'm making fun of someone, that means I like them. If you ever see me around someone that I'm mute, that means I just don't have the time for them. I just don't care. You're not even worth my time for me to even acknowledge to make fun of you. Because if I make fun of you, that means that I like you. It means that I love you. That means I want to hang out with you because I know you're going to come right back at me. Me and my best friends, Jesus, good God. It's as rude as could be, but it shows in a weird way, I guess it shows me that they care, and I'm showing them that I care.
Yeah, and I absolutely know, if you guys have seen when I worked for Rubio running around or whatever, everything's direct, everything's happening fast. But you have to remember too, I've known him my whole life, so I understand that, you might have a second where it seems like you're rude or whatever, but then I can still go home and we can have Christmas together. And I know, if I needed $100 or if I fell down some stairs and I needed someone to come help me or whatever, I could call you. So it's just knowing someone really well, right? When you see people on the surface, you don't know what's really going on. And so people might seem really direct or not a bitch, but then you get them behind closed doors and it's totally different. So you just got to stay on your toes.
Okay, Samantha, final question before I let you go. You have the ability to get rid of one. What do you choose? Karaoke, because Samantha is one of those people that will go to karaoke and boo the people and say, don't you have any friends?
Oh God. Didn't anyone tell you you're not good?
You have the ability to get rid of one. Karaoke or raccoons. She hates raccoons.
Yeah. I don't like things that can open doors. And I really think there's something with raccoons and they might know your social security number.
100%.
You might know a tax guy. I don't like there's some shady stuff going on. Honestly, I think raccoons. I think more people enjoy karaoke and I can just not go to the bar, but I can't control the raccoons. They can just show up on you. So get rid of the raccoons.
Okay,
and if you see raccoons during the day, it's not okay, people. They're sick. Something's wrong with them. Stay away. Hide your kids.
Samantha, I really appreciate your time. Tell your family big hugs from Idaho. I love them a lot. Zoe, baby. All right, Sam, thank you very much. We're going to go to the bottom line. Peace out, Sam.
Yep.
All right, the bottom line for all you new watchers and listeners, the bottom line is all the stuff that you should have learned without even realizing you learned it by just watching. Okay, so number one, if someone lobs one up for you, just shut up and hit it. If someone lobs one up for you, just shut up and hit it. This goes down to the 5-point emails. If someone asks you to write 5 bullet point emails, just shut up and do it. It's not that hard. You're not laying brick in Indonesia at night. Number two, don't let your baggage outweigh your talent. Don't let your baggage outweigh your talent. This goes back to Joy Reid. Her baggage just outweighed her talent. I heard that on the Jesse Kelly show, and it's exactly right. And number three, just like Samantha said, learn not to care. It's okay. You don't always have to care about everything. And once you start to realize that you can go on and not care about certain things, you'll live a better life. I promise you that. I want to thank Jenna, Bill Geiser, and Samantha for a great episode 94, The Rubio Method. Don't forget, we've got decades coming on in about 16 minutes right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. This is a great show. I really appreciate everyone chiming in. Jenna, I'm out.
Thanks for watching The Rubio Method. Be sure to spread the word. And don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook.